When a talk show host tried to undermine a self-made entrepreneur on live TV, she never expected his response to ignite a national movement. The studio buzzed with excitement as the cameras rolled, capturing the energy of the live audience. Today's guest was no ordinary entrepreneur. Malcolm Daniels, a 39-year-old visionary from Oakland, California, had turned his modest tech startup into a billion-dollar empire. His journey was one of resilience, a man from a working-class neighborhood who defied the odds to become one of the most respected names in the industry. Millions tuned in, eager to hear his story. But host Diane Strickland had other plans. Known for her sharp tongue and controversial takes, Diane thrived on creating uncomfortable moments. To her, this wasn't about celebrating Malcolm's success, it was about challenging it, questioning the narrative that had captivated so many. The stage was set for a showdown. Malcolm, dressed in a sharp navy suit, took his seat under the studio lights. He exuded calm confidence, his warm smile projecting humility rather than arrogance. Diane leaned in, her pen tapping against her clipboard, her expression polite but with an unmistakable edge. "Welcome to the show, Malcolm," she said smoothly. "You've certainly been making waves. People can't stop talking about how you've revolutionized the tech world. But tell me, do you think the narrative around you is a little too perfect?" The question lingered. Malcolm didn't flinch. Instead, he smiled, tilting his head slightly as if carefully considering his words. "Well, Diane," he replied, his voice steady, "I think it's less about perfection and more about perseverance. My journey hasn't been easy, but hard work and resilience have a way of shining through." Applause erupted, but Diane wasn't fazed. She was just getting started. Her smile tightened. "Perseverance, huh? That's a word we hear a lot. But let's be real, Malcolm, someone from your background doesn't usually end up where you are. Don't you think there's more to your success than just hard work?" Malcolm's smile remained, but something flickered in his eyes. Was it amusement, annoyance, whatever it was, he didn't let it show. "You're absolutely right," he said calmly. "There's always more to the story. But if I may ask, what exactly are you implying?" Diane chuckled, crossing her legs as if settling in for a long debate. "Oh, I'm not implying anything," she said, her voice dripping with mock innocence. "I'm just saying that in an industry dominated by, let's say, a certain demographic, your rise to the top seems almost improbable." A murmur rippled through the audience. Malcolm took a deep breath. He felt the weight of her words, the eyes of the audience, and millions at home waiting for his response. "It is extraordinary," he admitted, "and I don't take it for granted. But improbable? No, it's what happens when opportunity meets preparation and effort." Diane arched a brow, unimpressed. "Preparation and effort," she repeated with a slight scoff. "Or do you think certain programs like affirmative action gave you a little push?" The room went still. Audible gasps broke the silence. Malcolm remained composed, though the tension in the air was undeniable. He let the moment settle before speaking. "I appreciate you bringing that up," he said smoothly. "It allows me to address a common misconception about success, particularly mine. But before I answer, let me ask you something, Diane. Would you say the same thing to a guest who didn't look like me?" Silence. Diane's smile faltered for the first time. She quickly recovered. "Well, Malcolm, I ask tough questions to all my guests. It's my job." "I understand," Malcolm nodded. "But when you frame my success as improbable, or suggest that external factors got me here instead of my work ethic, it makes me wonder, would you question someone else's achievements with the same assumptions?" Diane opened her mouth, but Malcolm continued, his voice cutting through the tension like a blade. "See, Diane, I've been in rooms where people assume I don't belong. I've had to prove myself 10 times over just to get half the recognition. And even then, there's always someone ready to attribute my success to anything but my capabilities. It's exhausting." A woman in the front row folded her arms, visibly displeased with Diane's line of questioning. The murmurs grew louder. "Now, don't get me wrong," Malcolm continued. "Programs like affirmative action have helped level the playing field. They're important, but the idea that I'm here because of a handout, That erases years of sacrifice. Frankly, it's insulting. Diane stiffened. I'm not erasing anything, she snapped. I'm just pointing out the realities of how certain opportunities come about. Malcolm smiled. Of course, my story plays a role, he said. But not because of favoritism, because people resonate with it. They see their own struggles in mine. They see proof that no matter the obstacles, success is possible. The audience erupted into applause, some even rising to their feet. Diane's polished demeanor cracked just slightly. Malcolm leaned in. And let's not pretend this is just about me. When we question the legitimacy of someone's success based on their background, we send a message to millions of people who look like me that their hard work will never be enough. Is that really the message we want to send? The applause was deafening now. Diane looked rattled but managed a strained smile. Well, Malcolm, she said stiffly, you certainly know how to make a point. The interview ended, but Malcolm had no idea the firestorm his words were about to ignite. By the time he reached his car, clips of the exchange were already circulating online. The first video, a shaky phone recording, was titled, Malcolm Daniels Schools Diane Strickland in the Most Elegant Way Possible. Within hours, it went viral. Major news outlets picked up the story, framing it as a defining cultural moment. Talk shows, podcasts, and online forums buzzed with debate. Some praised Malcolm's grace under pressure. Others dissected Diane's words, questioning if they were intentional or ignorant. Meanwhile, Diane found herself on the defensive. She released a statement claiming her questions were taken out of context, but the damage was done. Public opinion had turned. For Malcolm, the moment became more than a viral clip. He used the newfound attention to amplify his message, launching initiatives to support underrepresented entrepreneurs. Donations poured in, fueling scholarships and mentorship programs. Weeks later, Malcolm received a letter from a high school senior named Jordan. When I saw you on that stage, speaking with so much confidence, it felt like you were talking directly to me, it read. You reminded me that my worth isn't tied to what others think. I'm going to keep trying because of you. Malcolm folded the letter carefully and placed it in his desk drawer. It wasn't the only one, there were dozens more. His success had sparked a movement, and the conversation was only just beginning. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to Unfolded Tales Explained and press the bell icon to stay updated with more inspiring stories.